The conference room fell silent as Lieutenant Colonel Sarah Chen walked in carrying a tray of sandwiches. Not as a guest, not as an equal, but as a server. Her superior, Colonel Marcus Webb, had made it crystal clear that morning. "Chen, we need someone to handle lunch service for the visiting generals. You'll do it." The words hung in the air like a slap. 22 years of service, 3 combat deployments, a silver star pinned to her dress uniform. And here she was, reduced to passing out lunch plates, while men half as qualified sat at the table discussing strategy. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she set down the first plate. Not from nervousness, from rage, pure, burning rage that she'd learned to swallow down deep over 2 decades in a system that constantly reminded her she had to be twice as good to get half the respect. Colonel Webb lounged at the head of the table, his chest puffed out like a peacock showing off for the 3-star generals visiting from the Pentagon. He was in his element, pontificating about military readiness, throwing around buzzwords he'd learned from PowerPoint presentations. Sarah had seen his type 1,000 times. The kind of officer who climbed the ladder by stepping on people. The kind who viewed women in uniform as props, not patriots. "Coffee, Lieutenant Colonel?" one of the generals asked, barely glancing up. Sarah nodded, her jaw tight, and moved to pour. As she leaned forward, the afternoon sun streaming through the window caught something on her uniform. A flash of blue ribbon, white stars on a field of red. The silver star, positioned just above her left breast pocket. The general's eyes locked onto it. His coffee cup froze halfway to his lips. "Wait," he said, his voice cutting through Webb's monologue like a knife. "Wait just a minute." The room went still. General Marcus Thompson, a decorated veteran of 3 wars, slowly rose from his chair. His eyes never left Sarah's chest. Not in the way that made her skin crawl, but with the recognition of a warrior seeing another warrior's badge of honor. "That's a silver star," Thompson said quietly, almost reverently. Sarah straightened instinctively, her server's posture transforming into a soldier's bearing. "Yes, sir," she replied, her voice steady despite the thundering of her heart. "Kandahar Province, 2019. Thompson's face went through a series of expressions, confusion, curiosity, then something that looked like dawning horror. "You're Lieutenant Colonel Chen?" he asked. Sarah nodded. The general's face flushed red. "Sarah Chen? The Sarah Chen who pulled 12 soldiers out of a burning convoy under enemy fire? The one who held a position against Taliban fighters for 6 hours until reinforcements arrived? That Sarah Chen?" "Yes, sir." The words hung in the air like an accusation. Colonel Webb's face had gone from smug confidence to pale terror in a matter of seconds. He knew. Oh, he knew exactly what was coming. General Thompson turned slowly, his eyes now fixed on Webb with the kind of cold fury that makes grown men want to disappear. "Colonel Webb," Thompson's voice was ice, "would you care to explain why a Silver Star recipient, a decorated combat veteran, is serving lunch instead of sitting at this table?" Webb's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. "Sir, I thought we needed someone to coordinate the meal service, and I—" "You thought what?" Thompson's voice rose, and the other 2 generals stood up, their faces mirroring his anger. "You thought it was appropriate to use a war hero as a waitress? You thought that was good leadership?" Sarah stood frozen, the coffee pot still in her hand, watching her tormentor crumble. For years, Webb had made her life hell, blocked her promotions, given her the worst assignments, spread rumors that she didn't earn her decorations, that she was given special treatment because of her gender. And now, finally, the truth was emerging into the light like a sunrise after an endless night. "General, I can explain." Webb started, but Thompson raised his hand, silencing him instantly. "Lieutenant Colonel Chen, please put down that coffee pot and sit down. At this table. Now." Sarah's hands moved automatically, setting down the pot with shaking fingers. As she pulled out a chair, Thompson gestured to Webb. "Colonel, you can take over lunch service, and when you're done, report to my office." We're going to have a very long conversation about leadership, respect, and how the United States military treats its heroes. Webb's face went from pale to crimson, his humiliation complete as he stumbled toward the serving cart. Sarah sat down, and suddenly the three generals were looking at her not as a server, but as an equal, as a warrior. "Tell us about Kandahar," Thompson said gently, his earlier fury replaced by genuine interest. And Sarah talked. For the first time in years, someone actually listened. She described the ambush, the flames, the screams of her soldiers, the impossible choice between survival and sacrifice. She'd chosen sacrifice, and somehow, miraculously, they'd all survived. As she spoke, Webb shuffled around the table, passing out plates with shaking hands, experiencing firsthand the humiliation he'd inflicted on her. The meeting ended 3 hours later. Webb was reassigned within a week, his career effectively over. Sarah received a formal apology from the base commander and the promotion she'd been denied for 5 years. But more than that, she got something she'd been fighting for her entire career: recognition, respect, the acknowledgement that her service mattered, that her sacrifices counted, that the silver star on her chest wasn't just decoration. It was proof of valor that could never be diminished, no matter how hard small men tried. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it catches the light at just the right moment, and the truth becomes impossible to ignore.